Estrada. I'm the DE chair for the First Settlers region. It's so nice to see a bunch of faces that I recognize from previous track days. For me, it's been a while since being to the track. I think it's been like 6 months, but I imagine that for a lot of you, it's been over a year. So we are very, very excited to host this event and to get to see you guys once more doing what we love doing the most, which is driving cars, driving fast cars on the track. So the reason why we wanted to have this meeting, which normally is not how we do our events, right? We wait until we get to the track, and before getting there, we send you some paperwork, some emails, and hope that you read them. But there's a significant need for us to have this meeting and give you some instructions on how things are going to operate a little differently for this event. So with that said, I'm gonna start the presentation for tonight.
Sound.
Hey, Jim, can you mute yourself, please? Can you hear me, Jim?
Are we all muted?
You all should be muted now. Okay, good. All right, so I'm gonna start the presentation. Presentation is being recorded. In case you wanted to see it again, I'm going to try to go as fast as possible through the presentation so I don't have to hold you up here for too long. If you have any questions, please use the chat feature in Zoom. Scott Hoffman is going to collect all the questions and hold them till the end. And if he sees that something is important, then he'll interrupt me, send me a message, and I'll try to answer that. But we're gonna try to do that at the end to keep things moving and organized. So with that said, let me share my screen. On screen, share. And we'll get started. Okay, so the main reason for this is the changes to the way we're going to run the event. This is all driven by the COVID-19 pandemic and the reason why we're going to do this. So why are we doing this meeting? This is the latest update on Executive Order 72 from the Governor of Virginia. And I highlight some of the sections that are most important to us. This is specific to racetracks and speedways, and are the rules that we must follow in order to have the event at VIR. VIR requires us as well to follow those rules. So as you can see, there's still a requirement for all individuals to maintain at least 6 feet of physical distance. There's still a need to have specific capacities at venues. In our case, it's 30% of the lowest occupancy load for VIR, so we should be good on the numbers because of how many people they can host. We still must wear masks over the nose and mouth, not just over the mouth, but completely. That's the rule. And we cannot have more than 4 people gather indoors or 100 people outdoors. So those are the rules that we're going to be playing by during the event. And through using this presentation, we're going to show you how we're going to accomplish that in order to still have fun and not interrupt too much into the activities we all like to do, right? So here we go with that. So the first thing that is different that we have not done in previous events is how we're handling waivers. We are required to have waivers. There are going to be 2 types that we're going to talk about. The main one is the electronic waiver, rather than having you come in the line like we normally do and sign and share a pen and share a piece of paper. That is going away. It's not going to happen. We're going to do it with the electronic. If you see my waiver, if that's my actual one, if that dummy can do it, then we all should be able to do it, right? And if for some reason you have had problems getting the link to work for you, I made it easy for you tonight. The big fat square QR code that is in the middle of your screen right now you can actually put your phone camera and point it towards this big fat square here, and you should get the waiver, right? This is how you get to that. And it's simple. Step one, you request electronic waiver via text message. You do that by pointing the camera, you click a link, and then you get a message, a text message that tells you where to start the process. Step two, sign the waiver using your own smartphone. There's no sharing required. And step three, you're going to have this waiver on the right that you will show from inside your car once you get to registration. I'm sure there are going to be questions about this, but if for some reason, even after just 3 simple instructions and scanning the QR code that you see in the center of your screen, you still have problems doing that, Scott and Alan will be sending links after this meeting for the paper forms that for links to the PDF forms that you can print in paper form and bring to the track and have it ready to present when you go through the line. Now, I warn you that the PCA waivers must be printed in color. PCA does not allow us to accept black and white waivers. The reason why they do that is because they can tell the difference between an original signature and an original form as opposed to a copy. And when they are not in color, then obviously they are a copy. So my recommendation to all of you that have not signed your waivers is to go through the process, scan this QR code and do it now. Unfortunately, because of the way we're going to do registration, if you get to the front of the line and you don't have the items that we're asking you to do for expediency, we're just going to ask you to go back to the end of the line to get your stuff together and come back. We are not going to do the traditional registration in person like we do in the classroom or in the registration area. It's going to be all contactless from your car. So we're not going to have the ability to deal with problems once you get to the front of the line. We're going to expect to check you in real fast, do 1, 2, 3, and you're done. Go get your car ready and all this stuff, but we're not going to be dealing with those problems on the line. So it'll be good for you to be completely ready for the event, and that's the reason why we're having this, so you know what to do, what to expect from our end. So that is what the speed waiver, electronic speed waiver looks like. Again, if you have questions, send them in the chat for Scott, and we'll address them towards the end. The second part of the waivers is VIR specific liability waivers and COVID-19 certifications. VIR is not doing electronic waivers like we're doing. They are providing us these links, which Scott has sent before. We will send one more. You will print these ones. VIR doesn't care if they are black and white or in color. You can just print them, sign them, and bring them with you. The VIR waivers will be surrendered at the gate. We don't care about those. They will take them from you at the gate. They will not allow you to come into the event unless you have those waivers with you. So make sure that you print this one, sign them, and put them in your car as soon as possible so you don't forget them. Again, if you have questions regarding this, put them in the chat. But as you can see now, there are 2 types of waivers, one for PCA, the electronic ones, and one's for VIR, which we'll present at the gate as you come to the event. So we're going to do, as I mentioned before, a drive-through registration and not a walk-through registration. All crew, volunteers, and drivers must register in motorsport.reg.com. We have seen a lot of those. We have about 300 folks register already. By the way, this event is almost completely full, maybe already full. So there isn't a lot more room for anything, but everyone coming in is going to have to register in the event. That's for contact tracing purposes. We need to know who is at the track and who is not. We are asking that each driver just bring a maximum of 1 person as a crew member. You can bring your wife as a crew member. You can bring your spouse, your son, your daughter. but one per driver is where we asking to control the crowds that we're going to have. As I said before, the speed waiver picture will be shown on the phone through the window of your car, as you see in the picture. Masks must be worn at all times during the registration process and the tech lines. An envelope with your wristband and stickers will be placed under your wipers after the process is complete, and you roll out to tech inspection, and from then you're done. Should be a pretty simple process. If some of you are from the Potomac region or have attended a Potomac region event, you'll notice that a lot of these slides come from their presentation. They were pretty active last year in track events. So we collaborated, and they kindly let us use some of their slides. And that's what we're using. They were very successful with how they coordinated their events last year. So thank you, the Potomac region, for providing all this documentation. All right, this is probably the most important slide for you to remember. As you come into the North Paddock, you're gonna see that we're gonna have 4 stations for registration. Number 1 is that red block is your driver's license. There are gonna be a couple volunteers and in that station that will stop you and ask you to show your driver's license. Driver's license are going to be required only for the registered drivers. Your crew members, anyone that is not driving, does not have to show a driver's license. Only the registered drivers that will be participating in driving in the event will show their driver's license at station number 1. Once they are done completing and complete checking your driver's license, they have no questions. They will point you towards station 2. If you don't have your driver's license, then they will ask you to make a U-turn and go back, get your driver's license, and join the back of the line. If you pass test number 1, then you go to station number 2, where another couple of volunteers will check your helmets. They will place a sticker or check the sticker if you already have one in your helmet. And if that second test, you pass that test, then you'll be pointed to station number 3. That's where you're going to be talking to me, to Scott, to Alan, and to Michael. Michael Shamas will be the 4 people at station number 3. At that station, we're going to be checking your waiver, the electronic waiver on your phone, or if you have to print, you had to print your waiver, then we'll collect it from your windshield wiper, and we'll check you in the system. And if you pass that 3rd test, then you get the grand prize to go see Chris Stanley. Chris Stanley and his group of volunteers will be at station number 4, where they will divide the cars in 2 lanes, going through either one of the 2 stalls in the tech shed, where they will do the standard tech inspection. They will pick up the tech inspection form from your windshield as well. So you don't have to hand it through the window. We ask you to put all the paperwork necessary for registration under your windshield wipers. They'll collect it from there, check your car. You don't have to get out. You don't have to roll the windows. Just follow the instructions they'll give you. And after that, you're all done and you can go do as you please. And you are all completely registered for the event. So that's going to be the procedure. You don't have to get out of your car at any time. We're hoping, and our goal is that you don't have to roll down your window, and this will keep us in line with the rules of that executive order that I mentioned in the beginning. If you have any questions on this slide, please put them in the chat. Scott will read them to the group afterwards, and we will address them. So, and again, this presentation will be available, is being recorded. We'll post it on YouTube afterwards, so it will be available for review. And we have some folks that specifically asked for not to participate today because they had conflicts, and they will be watching it as well. All right, so the tech inspection, as I mentioned before, is going to be contactless. Have the form ready under the windshield. You can see in that picture where it is. And it's going to be the same way every day that you have to do tech inspection. For instructors, they will only tech inspect on the first day. That would be Thursday night or Friday morning. Everyone else that is not an instructor will have to tech daily. The instructors will peer tech every day of the event. All right, so that gets us to the next one. Again, I'm going to be emphasizing a lot on every other slide here, the fact that masks are required for everyone. The tech inspectors will have masks, registration staff will have masks. We will have gloves available at registration. If anybody wants gloves, they can ask for them. They're not included in the packages. It's going to be by request only. You can also ask the tech inspectors if you don't want your card to be handled with bare hands. You can ask the tech inspectors to wear gloves. We're prepared to do that as well. Again, masks are to be worn walking around the paddock, in bathrooms, classrooms, and the cafeteria. Are we being mask Nazis? Not really. We're not the mask police. But I want to emphasize that we're all adults. We have rules set by the state and by the venue that we're going to be using to wear masks in all these places. So in order to hold our event, have fun, we're going to have to follow this rule. So I'm going to kindly ask you that please follow the rules with masks at all times when you see the signage. And if anyone reminds you to please wear your mask, don't get mad about it. Those are the rules of the road and how we're going to be able to hold the event without having much concern. Not everyone's comfort level with events of this size, we're expecting 300 people, have the same comfort level that the next person, right? So let's be respectful and follow the rules so everyone can have fun. Be the friend who chooses always to wear a mask around others, right? That's the intent. We all going to the track to have fun. That's how we're going to be able to accomplish that. Drivers meeting. Drivers meeting, if you see the picture here from the Potomac region, this is our goal, to hold the drivers meeting if possible. Like you see in the picture, maintaining the 6-foot distance required by the executive order. We are going to look into potentially transmit the drivers meeting over VIR's radio frequency, FM radio frequency. We have not arranged that yet, but if we are able to, we will announce that at the track. And then if that becomes available, then folks that want to stay and listen from their FM radio in the car could do that. We will provide more details. For now, we know that we will have drivers meetings in this fashion, as you see in this slide. And we will find the best place where we can have the most space to hold those meetings. Locations right now could be the podium, could be by the pagoda. We'll let you know once we're at the track what the best location is based on the crowd sizes that we see at the time. You're going to see signage everywhere reminding you about where to wear the masks. Scott was kind enough to send me this picture with this note. Scott says that Steve races cars. He makes movies about racing cars, but ultimately he wears a face mask in the paddock. So be like Steve. This is the request from Scott Hoffman, new registrar. The Pagoda Grill will be available. They had restricted their hours from 10 to 2, but we made arrangements with them. So the Pagoda Grill will be available to us from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. All 3 days. They will have some restrictions at the grill for everyone's safety. So please wear a mask, maintain your distance. They're still going to accept cash, cards, and they can take orders at the window. They also have an app where you can do your ordering and just go pick it up afterwards. I have not used the app myself, but they tell me that they have one. If we get more information on that, we'll put that out as we get closer to the event. For instructors, this is the rule specifically for instructors. Instructors may only ride with their assigned student. That is the general rule. We normally allow instructors, if they want to ride along with another student or with another instructor, that is normally something allowed in our events. However, in this current conditions, we're not going to do that. Instructors are going to be asked to only ride with their assigned student unless some special arrangement is made and checked with us. That's going to be really the exception and not the rule. Instructors may be assigned one student only. In general, we try to do that, but we had the need to assign some instructors that voluntarily wanted to take two students because we had additional needs. So for those very few instructors that are going to have two students, we have special procedures that we're going to follow. I have slides specifically on that, so more to come here in a second. But those are the general rules for instructors. The instructor packages will contain personal protective equipment, masks, hand sanitizer, sanitizing wipes, and if they require gloves, they will be by request. We'll have them available at registration. This is what the instructors can expect to have in their package. Scott and Alan have also put packages together for the rest of the participants, which will have masks in them and a couple other things, but they're not going to be as complete as the instructors' packages, being that you're going to be driving by yourself in your car and you really shouldn't have a need for all the extra stuff that the instructors and students will need, because they're going to be interacting in very close proximity. So we are giving them the supplies they need to stay safe. So these packages will be issued at registration to the students and to the instructors, and then to the general, the rest of the drivers as well, but they're not going to be as complete as this one, as I said before. So things inside, like I mentioned, masks, hand sanitizer, disinfectants, and wipes. This is kind of like what they look like, individual bottles. As far as the number of students, we had a change in the executive order while we were doing preparations for the event. The classrooms at the time when we started were going to be of smaller size, but now that we have the restrictions increased to 50 people inside with masks, we're going to be able to have the normal class size. So green students, blue students, and white students will have a classroom on Saturday and on Sunday in the regular classroom, but with masks. We're going to shorten the length of the training sessions a little bit, and they're not going to be as long as normal, but we're going to try to cover most of the important topics required for safety. In-car instruction during this pandemic, I mentioned before that we're going to have special procedures for the instructors that have two students, and even for the ones that only have one student. We will have disinfectant spray at registration. So we're going to ask those instructors with two students that don't have an additional headset. The first thing we ask them is, if you have two students, please bring two sets. And we ask you to leave the headset with the students for the event, the entirety of the event, and then make arrangements to collect it before they leave. That way there is not a lot of exchange of materials between the student and the instructor. And if you have two students and if you have two sets of headsets, please bring them. We did try to get some additional ones to have handy, but unfortunately the supply, the chain is not cooperating, so it's hard to find headsets right now. We were going to bring additional ones. We are still going to bring some, but the numbers are going to be very small. So don't count on those being available. So if you have to use one single headset and share between two students, we're going to have the sanitizing spray available at registration. And we're going to ask those instructors to please, between sessions, disinfect your equipment because they're going to be swapped between the students. We only have a very limited number of instructors that have 2 students, so it shouldn't be a big concern. All right, with that, let's move to the process of how we're going to interact as students with instructors, instructor with students. We ask you to frequently wash your hands, follow the 20-second rule, and or use the hand sanitizer provided. We're going to have hand sanitizer in 1-gallon containers. If you run out, you can come and refill your small containers. So we ask you to sanitize prior to entering the student's car when you're the instructor. We ask both the student and the instructor that before you get into the car, to have your helmet on, visors down, prior to entering the car for both the student and the instructor. And then once the session is over, do not remove your helmets until you are outside of the car, and when still maintaining the 6-foot distance required. Once you complete that step, we're going to ask you to immediately put your face mask on for the instructor and the student debrief. That is the process that we want you to do, which is a little different than we normally do it. The debrief for the student normally happens as soon as you come in from the track. You both stay in the car and talk for a bit. That is what we don't want you to do this time. We want you to follow this simple procedure of keeping your helmet until you're out. As soon as you remove it, put your mask, keep your distance, and then do your debrief. That is how we would like you to follow the process put in place for this. So maintaining the 6-foot distance and the masks on during the discussions. This is, as you can see in the picture, how we hope that we conduct all student instructor briefings after the session. And you know, this process that you're going to follow with your students and students with your instructors is really a contract between the 2 of you on how to prevent any kind of cross-contamination, right? Hopefully we all going to be healthy going to the track and we wouldn't have to worry about it, but we'll take those extra precautions to run a safe event. If for some reason the student asks the instructor to sanitize additional areas where they touch the car, that's the reason why we are providing sanitizing wipes for both the student and the instructor in case that part of the contract between the 2, right, is you agree that you're going to maintain those areas that you touch clean. So that's available. It's up between the student and the instructor on how they want to do that. That is not mandatory to disinfect, but if you 2 agree to do so, then that's why we're providing the supplies. Again, if any questions, please put them in the chat. We'll handle them at the end. Let's move on to how we're going to do the entry to the pit lane, the grid. Not much different, but we'll run through them anyway. At that point, we know you're going to have your windows down for sure, but we're going to try to be as orderly as possible. Your first step, which Adam is going to be requiring, is to show your wristband. Be prepared for that. That way the grid marshals don't have to come and ask you, just be prepared to show that first. Step 2 will be show your seatbelt or your harnesses and do this consistently so they don't have to ask you. So step 2 will be that part. 3, you're going to show your that your helmet is properly fastened. So as long as you know that 1, 2, and 3 steps go like this, it's easier for the people checking your safety to not have to have additional contact with you. And lastly, if you have a Hans device, you're going to move forward to make sure they can see that it's properly attached to your helmet. So that's the grid procedures. And if anybody's asking, no social activities. That's correct. We're not going to have any kind of social activities. That FSR, the First Settlers Region, is going to do, like the picnic or anything else like that. It's up to you to maintain within the rules of the number of people that can congregate inside or outside, and you know when you're supposed to wear masks, and if you're not wearing them, what the distance are. So I'm not saying, and we're not saying you cannot have social activities if you want to have them in your own groups, but if you have them, you have to follow the rules, right? You have to follow the numbers, the distance, and the mask wearing in order to do what you are going to do as an individual with other individuals. So I will end the presentation with this. Ask yourself these questions before you come to the event. Take the self-assessment. Again, I repeat, we are all adults. We need to be honest with ourselves. So before leaving for the track, determine if you should cancel or not. Have you been in close contact with somebody that had a confirmed case? Do you suffer from shortness of breath, sore throat, or something similar? Have you had fever in the last 48 hours? Have you have any loss of taste or smell, etc.? So ask yourself those questions, and if you don't think that you can pass this test, then please contact Alan or Scott and say, I don't pass the test, and I'm going to need to cancel and not come to the event. So we ask you to do that. We're all going to do that in order to prevent anyone from having any issues. So let's go to the questions session. I'm gonna unmute everyone. Let me stop sharing the screen. And we can go into the questions. All right, so you can unmute yourself, Scott, if you have any questions for me.
All right, so I've tried to answer the questions as we were going. Let's see. So how does the crew avoid the gate expulsion? Well, the crew has to be registered, and by the way, we use the term crew for guests because that's a nice way of putting it. That's why VIR refers to people that aren't drivers as crew. So it must be registered through Motorsport Reg, and a lot of you have sent me in the last couple of weeks emails asking me to help register your family members or friends or whatever that are showing up. So that gets you in our system. So we will have you on a roster. So we will have a bag for you, a packet for you when you come in through registration. But to get in the gate, you have to fill out the 2 VIR track waivers that get you in the gate. You can't get through the gate unless you do something with VIR first. Otherwise, they're going to charge you a spectator fee. And you know, if you're with us, then you need to be with us, you know, for free as part of our event, because somebody in your family's paid anyway. So you have to get your family, friends, whatever you're referring to as your crew, have them do the waivers, have them do the speed waiver. You can forward the emails that I've sent to all the registered drivers, forward that to your crew members and have them do the speed waiver as well. Or they can go to links, print, sign the PCA waivers. Remember, there's 2 track waivers, 2 PCA waivers. Yeah, so VIR has its own paper waivers. There's 2 of them. They're going to be on one file, but they're back to back. The front page is the liability waiver. The back page is the COVID-19 waiver. That's what VIR requires. For what it's worth, VIR has moved the air compressor from the tech shed to the recycling shed next to the Sunoco gas pumps. I wasn't aware of that, so that's good information to know. Yeah, the waiver, the speed waiver, if you've done it already on your phone, as you're coming through our registration line on your way to tech, you'll show it. You'll pull it up. There'll be a text message that you'll get when you've done the speed waiver properly. And then you click on that, and that picture that Marco showed earlier will show up, and you'll hold that up to your window and we'll know, yes, you're properly registered. If you can't do that because you don't have a smartphone or don't have a good signal or whatever, then please fill out the 2 PCA waivers. And there are 2 PCA waivers. There's a liability waiver and there's a communicable disease or COVID-19 waiver. You have to fill them both out. That's a PCA rule. Just like the track has its 2 waivers, we have our 2 waivers. Okay. And this is, I think Marco's giving you a chance to go on right now and look, and if you haven't done it already.
Does the speed waiver cover both of those waivers?
Yeah, the speed waiver, when you do the speed waiver process, the first thing it has you do is take a picture of yourself. And then there's 2 things that you have to sign with your finger. One is a liability waiver and one is a COVID-19 waiver. So it's kind of a 3-step process for the speed waiver. There's the picture you take of yourself, and there's 2 signatures.
What's the next question, Scott?
Well, somebody's telling me that somebody needs to tell PCA that there is a thing called color copies. Yeah, well, everybody should have. If I'm sending you a digital file and you're going to print it out, PCA requires you to, so that it can show the red. I don't know what you're trying to get at, but this is not our rule. This is PCA national rule about. Do you need the VIR waivers for each day? No, what VIR typically does when you come through the gate, once you've gone through their waiver process the first time, and then you register with us and you get a wristband. Once you have that wristband on, you leave that wristband on all weekend. That's your key to get into the track. Okay, and everybody I've been sending these things to, all the links to all these documents and the speed waiver and all that kind of stuff have been in all these emails I've been sending you over and over and over again. So please go back and look at the links and whatnot, click on them and see what they're all about. If your crew member, your family, your friends, or whatever are going to cancel, please send me an email in advance. Or if they're actually registered through Motorsport Reg, then they can actually hit the cancel button themselves. W. Evans Reynolds, the emails have not the QR code, but they do have the link. The link will do the same thing. If you take your phone and you plug in that, click on that link on that email, it'll take you to the speed waiver as well.
Yeah, I got it covered. I figured it out long ago.
Okay, all right, thanks. Yeah, you know, I actually tried to put the dang QR code in the email, but I don't remember what graphics thing it was, but it wouldn't take for some reason.
Well, I just took a picture of it and texted it to her phone. Her phone doesn't do email, so I've got it covered.
Cool. So David Font, do you need to unload the car before doing the drive-through registration? Well, since you're doing registration and tech in a serial manner, yeah, you need to have your car tech ready as well as registration ready. So please do that. Yes, Clarence Brewer, same thing. You've got to unload your cars of all the loose items before you get in line. You got to be tech ready and registration ready before you get in line.
And as an addition to that note, talking to the Potomac region folks, I understand that this new process of driving through a single line and taking care of both registration and tech actually was more efficient than the standard way we normally do registration. So I don't know, this may be the way of the future. Who knows? We'll see.
Yeah. So the Jarrett's, again, it's in those emails, the speed waiver, there's a link in the emails I've been sending out. All you gotta do is click on it. With your phone. If you get the email on your phone, click on that email, open that link where it says, where I talk about speed waiver, click on it, it'll take you right there. The car that you're driving on track doesn't have windows. You'll just deal with it.
That's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
I'm not sure what Mike Conti about a recap with the grid containing each document in the corresponding acceptable color palette medium. I'm not sure what you're asking there. Chris Jones, if it's raining on the day we check in, where do we put the forms if it's raining? Just slide them through the window when you get to a person. Richard Powell, do we drop the trailer off first or proceed through the car in the trailer? No, you get situated in the paddock, get your car tech ready. Are you checking a Hans device at station 2? I'd like to say that the Hans device will be checked at tech because they're going to make sure that we'll check helmets at station 2, but oh, don't put anything under your wipers if it's raining. Pass it through the top of the window. Yeah, all crew and volunteers have to go through this registration line. Obviously, if your crew and volunteers don't have a car, they don't have to go through tech. You know, they can ride along with you if you have seats or whatever. But we do need everybody to come through registration because every non-driver will also have a packet to pick up. Here's a question for Chris Stanley. Do the center lock caps need to be off for center lock wheels during tech inspection? Marco, do you know?
No, that's a question for Chris for sure.
Okay. Yeah, Richard, if you can email the guy that we have listed as our tech inspection guy, that's kind of his area of expertise. Yeah, at the final stage, once you've done the speed waiver, once you click that on, it's just going to show your picture, just like the Marco's picture. Okay, drivers meeting over the PA system. That is something that we have been discussing. Not only the PA system, but maybe the radio station as well. But what we don't want is people to make an excuse to kind of continue to sleep in their garage. You know, we want people to be out, you know, while we're doing the drivers meetings. And the drivers meetings serve a purpose more than just what we're going on right now. We talk about track conditions, we talk about track rules, passing zones, flags, we talk about all that kind of stuff. And we also do our instructor student pairings at drivers meetings. So Lee Eason has asked for the tech volunteers to park in the paddock first and then go to help out with tech inspection, then go through later once the line gets small. We're doing the full course, so we'll be on the north paddock, but we're driving the full course, the 3.27 mile track. Paddock will open. I have not got a response back from VIR. There is a renter on Thursday, which every year I've been down there for 8 years, they've always told us that when there's a renter for that day, technically they're not going to allow us in until 5:30, but sometimes they let us in a little early. Sometimes it's a little late. So try to be patient with us because we need time to set up as well before you get in. I'm going to send out a schedule tomorrow. Dana asked the question because I put in there that, there was a letter that came out from VIR a few years ago that said if you had a track prep car, you had to wear a fire suit. Marco, I don't know if you want to.
Yeah, so that is the normal, what VAR prefers is not mandatory. Last event that we had, we decided not to enforce that rule. And I'm gonna make a call now that somebody reminded me of that. I'm gonna make a call to VAR tomorrow, and we'll include the final instructions of that on an email that Scott is gonna send with the schedule, etc. On what the rules are going to be for cars that are full track cars.
People are asking about masks. Right now we're just kind of telling you what PCA rules are. You're all adults. You can decide if there's people around you or not. If you can take off your mask, we're not going to enforce it, but we ask you to be respectful of each other. Somebody asked about open face helmets. I guess you and your instructor. I mean, if you're just alone in your car, you can do whatever you want. But if you're with an instructor or with a student, y'all need to talk to each other about what you're comfortable with.
Yeah, and to that, if you have an open face helmet, then you have to wear a mask while you're driving, right? Or while you're instructing. If you have a full face helmet, then you don't have to wear a mask because the helmet is the barrier.
Can instructors drive in black group if given a red group sticker? Well, like I said, on Sunday, we will have a red-black combined group toward the end of the day, but we really prefer instructors to drive in red because of the way our schedule is. And that's
one thing.
Red is
second one
instructors
is-
only.
The other thing too is if you are registered in red, that's what we expect you to drive. If you register in black, that's what we expect you to drive, because all the groups are pretty much full. So just switching groups in between is not going to be possible because of track day.
All right. And somebody asked, how do we get T-shirts? Well, unfortunately, this event, you go to Walmart, pick whatever you want.
Number of participants going down because there's no sound.
Yeah, George Revington asked about you have a professional driving coach, which I assume your professional driving coach is registered. But yes, George, if I'm not mistaken, you're an instructor, right? Is anybody there? Greer.
Let's move to the next question.
No, yes, I'm an instructor.
Okay, as long as you have a red wristband on, you can have somebody in your car,
Okay,
but they have to be a registered driver. If your pro coach is not registered with me, we need to make that change really quick, like tomorrow morning, first thing. So I know of one pro coach that's already signed up. His name is Jamie Morrow. I don't know if he's your guy or not, but I'm not aware of any others.
do you have a Johann Schwartz?
No. I remember that guy emailing me about a month ago, but he never followed up. So, yeah, I told him what the process was.
Okay.
So
we'll
you
follow
might
up.
want to get with me first thing in the morning because our time is really short now.
Okay, we'll do.
Dana's asking about check rides for advancement to the next higher level.
Yeah, we are going to limit, actually, the process is going to be that we're going to make that only by exception. and I'm gonna be the one clearing that exception. We really don't want to be doing, like I said before, right? Instructors assigned to their students only, check rides with other different instructors are not gonna be the rule. If you wanna promote your own student that doesn't require a check, like from green to blue, we'll talk about that. But main thing, guys, is we need to maintain within the guidelines of the event, which is try to prevent that jumping from car to car, dealing with people in close contact inside of a car. We're going to minimize that risk so that if we do any check rides, is going to be a rare exception, not the rule.
Okay, registration times are going to be on Thursday evening and Friday morning and Saturday morning. They'll be on the schedule. Registration Thursday night, registration and tech, we'll have that on Thursday night. But you got to remember, we got a bunch of volunteers that have to make this thing happen. We have to get set up first before everybody starts charging through the tech shed, wondering, where everybody is. Yeah, we get there at the same time as you. The track might allow a few of us in early. Might. It all depends on the renter that day. If the renter's because it's a test, I think. If it's a secretive test, they're not even going to let us in the paddock until 5:30. So give us time to get set up. And you guys are going to need to get in the paddock, clean your cars up, get tech ready and registration ready anyway. So then we'll have tech again on Friday morning, tech and reg, and we'll have tech and reg on Saturday morning as well. We'll cover the passing zones at the drivers' meetings at the track.
Yeah, Scott, we're gonna have to power through this questions. We got 8 minutes to go.
Okay. Yeah, everybody should know that registration was closed. We actually closed it last week, and I've soft opened it a number of times in the last week to get people in, but it's closed. We have a closed event. Students will connect with instructors. What we're going to do is we're going to have you're going to get an email from driveevals.com, and it'll give the contact information for the student and the driver when they're paired together, and you guys can choose how you want to contact each other. No, you can't.
And that email, Scott, just the email for instructor student assignments will go out no later than tomorrow night. Maybe.
I'm sorry. What email are you talking about?
The student instructor assignments
Okay.
will go out no later than tomorrow night.
Okay. You can't fax your tech form. Nobody's got a fax machine. We're just volunteers. It just, we don't carry a whole office with us.
Nothing.
You have to bring it with you. You have to bring it with you.
Scott, can you hear me?
Yeah.
On Friday, the tech inspection shed, how long, do you know when they'll stop doing that? How long will it be open? In other words, this is Kim.
I don't have the schedule in front of me right now, but it's there's a certain limit to, we're not going to be there till midnight if that's what you're asking.
Well, I just wanted to know whether.
You said Friday night?
On Friday, during the day.
During the day? In the morning? Tech is open on Friday and Saturday mornings for only like an hour. So everybody's got to get their stuff and get through line. And there's a lot of.
Because we had to go into driver's meeting and instructors meeting. So yeah, we'll stop. But I think it's 7:45.
Golly, you got 1 hour to get every car in the group through. That's pretty short.
Well, that means everybody has to cooperate then.
And that's normally the same times that we normally use.
Yeah. I don't understand David Hall's question, but camping is allowed at the track, but you have to pay VIR to camp. You have to go through VIR's front office and say, I'm going to camp, and they're going to charge you. So it's not like you can just pitch a tent on the side of the paddock, because they will charge you whatever well, actually, they're gonna charge us and we're gonna charge you. Yeah, Laura, thanks for putting that in. Either do the speed waiver or you do the 2 PCA paper waivers. It's not both. PCA tech form need to be in color. I don't think so. Only 1 crew member per driver. No, we're not limited to 1 person.
Yeah, with the rules change from the state of Virginia, we're gonna allow more than 1, as long as they're registered.
So where do you put your loose items? You leave them in the paddock. Bring a big tarp or some bins or something like that to store your stuff in, because there's likely to be weather. It's springtime in Virginia. So everybody just kind of leaves their stuff out in the paddock, unless you have a garage, obviously. And you just cover it up, and that way, if it rains or whatever, or if the winds blow dirt and stuff, your stuff will stay clean. Is the VIR Tavern open? It is. They have a limited menu and limited hours, but they are open. Well, they're going to do pizza at the Pagoda Friday or Thursday night. That's pretty cool. Yeah. Thanks, Laura.
All right, Scott, let's pick up a couple more important ones, and the rest we'll just have to answer afterwards by email.
Somebody asked again about 1 crew member per. No, it's. But you have to be registered. They have to register. Your guests have to be registered. Bill Brewster. I don't know. Maybe you can get some friends to help push your car through, but you have to bring that car through tech at some point, and that's part of the registration process as well.
All right, so Scott, let's leave it at that. We'll try to go through this after the meeting, the remaining questions, and try to include that in a general email that's going to have the link to the schedule, link to whatever other things we want you to look at. So thank you all so much for giving us 1 hour of your time ahead of the event. We are really looking forward to seeing you all and having fun at the track. I think it's going to be a great event. We'll communicate more, and sorry we couldn't get to all the questions, but we just ran out of time and we want to keep this going forever. So we'll see you guys on Thursday. Have fun.
Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
All right, thank you.
Marco.
Thanks, Scott.